We've learned that several families of the victims have already contacted attorneys, and a prominent real estate broker says another tragedy could happen if city officials don't do something about these type of warehouses. Senior investigative reporter Stephen Stock is with us and joins us with the complicated legal issues here. We just heard the mayor of Oakland, Libby Schaaf, saying it's not as easy as it seems, where police officers or owners can just access these warehouses.
Exactly right, Raj. These are just a few of the ordinances and laws currently on the books governing who is supposed to ensure a safe and secure living area both in Oakland and in San Francisco. The bottom line in all this labyrinth of rules is that special interest and specific interest could be on the legal hook for that fire in Oakland and face not only possible criminal charges, but also a long and drawn-out civil lawsuit process as well. Even before investigators were done combing through the warehouse and long before the walls began coming down, survivors and victims' families contacted legal counsel to begin compiling possible civil lawsuits to hold those responsible for the conditions in the warehouse accountable.
What's going to happen, you can rest assured they're going to tighten up the noose a little bit.
Joseph Marone is one of the country's foremost catastrophic injury and real estate attorneys. Based in Philadelphia, Marone and his firm have already been contacted by several families of victims of the Oakland fire. He's working closely with at least one of those parties on a possible action.
If you own a building, especially a commercial building, you have an obligation to make sure all codes are correct, that you lift up to all standards.
At the same time, Marone says if the actual building owner wasn't fully aware of what was going on inside, didn't know about what these pictures show, much of the focus and potential accountability falls on the person whose name is on the lease, Derek Ion Almina.
It seems like this individual who was responsible for the building really did not pay attention on how to correctly manage a building and do the things necessary that ultimately may have caused these problems.
The police department, in my opinion, should crack down very hard.
Then there are the problems that San Francisco real estate broker Hans Hansen brought to our attention. Dozens of warehouses like this one, whose owner he represents, all over San Francisco and Oakland, sitting empty and waiting to be leased. Warehouses that are broken into and taken over for weekend rave parties nearly every weekend, he says.
They know how to show no sign to the owner that anything's happening. They leave without a trace.
And if it's not changed?
We're going to have another accident, and it could be a lot worse, and it could be in San Francisco.
There are laws and there are regulations out there. They just simply need to be enforced.
Tenants' rights attorney Gregory Broad says state law governing who is responsible for what is very complicated, made more complicated in both Oakland and San Francisco by even more stringent rules and ordinances that hold both the person who rents out the space and the building owner responsible for maintaining an adequate and safe living space.
Rent control or an eviction control can potentially make it difficult to evict a tenant, even a tenant of an illegal unit, but that does not absolve a landlord the responsibility of providing a habitable and safe premises for that tenant, even in an illegal unit.
Now, the key here, according to every expert we've talked to over the last 3 days, is that once a building, even a warehouse, is occupied continuously by people for 30 days or more, even if it's done illegally, certain tenants' rights and rules take over, and the person renting the space as well as the actual building owner both can carry responsibility for keeping it up to code and keeping it safe. And as Libby Schaaf just told you, it also prevents people like police and code enforcement from entering if somebody's living in that building. The rules change if they're there 30 days or longer. Raj, Janelle?
It is complex, and this is what we're going to be investigating throughout the course of this investigation of what's happening in Oakland.